Hi guys, it's Kesha. Welcome to the channel, to my wonderland. It is again a coffee time, and today we have my August wrap up. So in August I had a little bit of free time because that's when I went on holidays and I had a little bit more time to read. So I managed to read a total of 16 books. Let's be honest, it's probably gonna be the best month of the year when it comes to reading books, but also some of the books were pretty short, so that also helps when it comes to reading more. I'm just going to show you the books in the order that I read them. The first book is a book that I started in July but I ended it in August, and that is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. We follow the story of Audrey, and she is a little bit different from the other women from her century. The story is based in 1888 and on the character of Jack the Ripper. That is one of the reasons why I really wanted to read this book, because I love to see and read everything that has to do with Jack the Ripper. One of the things that I loved about this book is that they helped with a couple of pictures as visuals, and I love the fact that she wants to do what really pleases her instead of what society is expecting from her as a woman. So her uncle works at the morgue, so he performs autopsies, and she is very interested about this and she likes to go there and help him with it, even though her father doesn't want her to, so she does this behind his back. Also, her brother is not a fan of this and he doesn't want her to get involved in all of this world of murder. But there is somebody murdering people on the streets. Specifically, women are being murdered, and those murders are really brutal. That's another thing that I really love about the book, that they just don't tone down on the gore just because it's YA. And I'm planning on continuing with the series. Since I'm participating in the read-along that Hardback Hoarder is hosting of the Cirque du Freak Darren Shawn series, during the month of August I ended up reading the first 5 books of the series. I read Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant, Tunnels of Blood, Vampire Mountain, and Trials of Death. So these are pretty easy books to read because they are middle grade, and also because they are around 160 pages each, so it's easy to comb through them. The story starts with our boy Darren, and he goes to school, and one day they get sort of like a flyer announcing that there is going to be a Cirque du Freak in the city. So he really wants to go to this Cirque du Freak and see all the freaks and see what all the fuss is about. He ends up getting his hands on 2 tickets, one for him and one for his best friend. So they go to this Cirque du Freak together and they get to see all of the freaks, and there is a little incident with a werewolf. And I love the characters and the way that they are slowly introduced into the story. I don't want to tell you too much more about it because I think it's better if you go into it without knowing much about the characters and about the story, because I'm already so deep into the story that I know too much and I don't want to give anything away. But if you love spooky stories like Goosebumps and things like that, and you know, with magical creatures like vampires and werewolves come into play, this might be a series for you. Just keep in mind that this is middle grade and that the books are very short. The series has a total of 12 books, and I believe I'm now currently in book 7. Then I read Nightmares, The Sleepwalker Tonic by Jason Segel and Kristen Miller. This is book 2 on the Nightmares trilogy. This is also a middle grade. Also another spooky story. You see here theme things that I like are spooky stories. So in the first book we get to meet Charlie, and he lives with his dad because her mom passed away. So he lives with his dad and his younger brother. And then his dad starts to date this other woman, and she is the owner of this big purple house that they have in the town, and there's a lot of like spooky legends about that house. So when Charlie's dad decides to move in there with his girlfriend, Charlie is not happy about it at all. But then he discovers the world of nightmares, and I love these books because the connection between the world of the nightmares and the world of the regular reality of the living, it is so cool, you know, to have this connection and all these different characters that come up through the books. And again, if you love middle grade spooky books, this trilogy might be for you. Then while I was in Spain, I decided to take my Kindle with me. I have a very basic, very old Kindle from Amazon, but I always use it when I go on holidays. The rest of the time I rather really to read the books in paper form. So the first ebook that I read was the Kiss Quotient. So in this book, we follow the story of a woman that she is very bad with relationships in general, and she has Asperger's, and she decides that it is time to change her life a little bit, and her mom is always pressuring her to find, you know, a boyfriend and all of those things that moms want for their daughters. And basically she decides to hire an escort. So she finds an escort and she meets with him, and she basically tells him that what she wants is somebody that can help her with getting better at, you know, kissing and sex relationships. So I really love this because we have the perfect combination between cute and also we have some steamy sex scenes. So it was for me the perfect balance, and this is an adult book, and so if you want to go into it, please remember that there are explicit sex scenes in the book. Then I read Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover, and I was a little bit disappointed because I was expecting a little bit more. I thought I was gonna be more invested in the story. I mean, it was cute and it was a nice love story, you know. I get the point of the Cinderella reference, but I think I was expecting more from the story. It felt a little bit like bland for me, like there was nothing special really about it, and I don't know, I think it had so much potential, but it just fell flat for me. Then I read The Summer of Us by Cecilia Vines, and I have to say I kind of like this road trip. I kind of wish I would have read this when I was doing an exchange in Germany while I was still living in Spain, because this book deals with friendships and relationships and a trip between friends that they go to travel through Europe before they start college. So it's kind of like their last summer together. My favorite part was the way that they portrayed the friendships in the book. I love the way that they, you know, had to learn how to accept the changes, because when you're growing older there are changes that happen and you need to accept this in order to remain being best friends. And I love the way that she approached this kind of friendship changes. What I didn't like about the book were the love relationships, were most of them. There is a love relationship that it is a girl-girl relationship that I did enjoy, but the rest of the kind of love interest relationships, I was not so happy with them or the way that they went. But anyways, it was actually a pretty nice book. Then I read When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. I went into the book with very low expectations because I had already read From Twinkle with Love and I had not enjoyed it as much as I thought I would. But this book totally surprised me. I loved it. I thought the relationship between our main characters was awesome. I thought it was funny, I thought it was cute, and I loved everything about it. And in this book, I do love how they portray the romance and the relationships. Also, again, when you're kind of growing up and you start to think about going to college and things in life start to change. It's definitely a book that surprised me because I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. And now I need a physical copy of it. Then I decided that after all of these romances that I had been reading, it was time for something a bit different, so I decided to go with a thriller. So I read Lied to Me by Jess Rider. Now, I did like it. I liked the atmosphere. It had this kind of like, even though it's not based on a Victorian age, but it gave me kind of those vibes. We do go back and forth into the past and back to the present. So we follow the story of a girl that finds a box with old stuff from her mom. Her mom disappeared years ago and everybody thinks that she probably died because she was considered to be a little bit crazy. So she lives alone with her dad, and one day she discovers this box and there is a tape of her that she has never seen before. So she plays this tape, and the things that she hears and that she finds in that tape takes her into kind of like an investigation adventure. And maybe she shouldn't have started investigating because things get pretty nasty. And all in all, I love the story. I know I like where the author was going. Maybe the end was not as shocking and surprising as it could have been, but it is very hard in thrillers to give you these amazing plot twists that leave you totally like speechless. So this is for me a basic psychological thriller. But I do love the way that the book is written, because we get chapters written by people that are from the past, and then we also get chapters by our characters that are living in the present. And then on the day of my birthday, I decided to read something that I had just purchased in Spain, and that is a comic version of Alice in Wonderland. Now this is by Carol Moore and Pepino Awano. Carol Moore is the daughter of Alan Moore, which if you love comics, you know who he is. And so I bought these. I already had these with the loose issues in English, and this one's in Spanish, but I just couldn't help myself because I love this edition and it is super pretty. And I thought, you know, if I buy it now while I'm in Spain, I also get to read it on my birthday. So I don't think I need to explain what Alice in Wonderland is. And it is based obviously on the Lewis Carroll book. It is a new interpretation, so there are some changes on the story, and I really enjoyed it. Then I read 99 Days, and it is by Katie Kotukno. I wasn't sure if I wanted to read this one because I heard mixed reviews about it, but I decided, you know what, it's summer and I have it on my Kindle, so I'm just gonna read another summer story. I did enjoy the story, but there were some parts that they were very repetitive, and the good part is that the character development was really good and I did get to care a lot about the characters. But like I said, the book felt at some point a little bit repetitive, so there is a second book. I don't know if I'm gonna read it because I fear it's going to be the same thing over and over again. So we follow the story of this girl, and she had been dating one of the brothers of a rich family for a long time, and what happened is that they had a fight and she thought that they were broken up like friends, you know, like the Ross and Rachel controversy, but we were broken up. And so when they were broken up, she was crying and she was desperate, and she saw this guy's brother and she just went ahead and kissed him and slept with him. She got back with her former boyfriend, but then he figured out that she had cheated on him with his own brother, and then she just runs off and leaves the town. So it deals with the events after and how she deals with the people's reactions in the town when she comes back. And she also gets to hang out again with the brothers and the family. And I did like some of the, you know, life lessons and things that we learned from the book, and I also got to care a lot about the characters, but like I said, the story felt a little bit repetitive at some point. Then I read Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley, and this is probably one of the best books that I have read in August because I just loved everything, and now I need a hardback copy of this because I want to keep it in my collection. So the book is basically written from two different perspectives. We get to see what Rachel has to say and we get to see what Henry has to say. So we alternate between them, and it is so well done, and sometimes we get to live the same moment between the two different perspectives, and it is just fantastic. It is beautifully written. It has to do with a bookshop. I love books that have to do with bookshops or with a mystery involving a book. And the relationships are so raw and so pure in this book, and it deals with grief and it deals with love, and all the characters were amazing. I loved it so much. I don't want to say too much about it because I want you to go into this book and get yourself surprised by how beautiful it is, even though it's going to destroy you. Trigger warning for you're probably gonna cry. And then I read an arc that I had on my shelf since forever and I never read before, and I decided it was about time. And that is The Dead Inside by Cyndi Adler. Now this is based on her own story, so it's kind of like a memoir, but it's written more like a novella, and she says that she changed like a couple of things as well. Now I thought I was gonna love it. Normally I do like memoirs that have to deal with very important and very delicate topics like this one. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she was trying to write the book, you know, as accurate as possible and telling us as many things as possible from the story, but it just felt so boring. Like it was so slow paced, and she took so much time describing things that didn't need like one full chapter for it. And I feel bad because I don't want to give bad ratings or bad reviews to books, but the truth is I did not enjoy this book at all, and I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't enjoy it. I had to push myself to finish it because I wanted to know if maybe in the middle of the book it was gonna turn around, because I was already bored by chapter 2. But it didn't get better. I still finished it, but it's one of the biggest disappointments that I've read this year. So in the month of August, I read a total of 7 physical books, 7 ebooks, 1 comic, and 1 arc. That makes a total of 16 books. That also makes a total of 4,174 pages read in the month of August. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below if you've read any of the books and what you thought about them. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. All my other social media is listed down below for you guys. And I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!